your target audience and why you're writing this book. Or if you're typing, that you're not writing to a blank page. Decide on how you want to bring this to market. That you cannot do this alone. Want to self-publish, or do you want to work with a publisher? No one really gets rich. No one really makes money from actual selling the book. Most people won't read your book. So I'm going to give you 5 things you need to know before you start writing that book. Okay, I want to talk to you about, so you've decided you want to become an author, you want to write a book. You've gone through something, or you're moving on to some other part in your life and you're like, you know what, I've got a story to tell, I want to write a book. So I'm going to give you 5 things you need to know before you start writing that book. First thing is, you've got to get clarity as to why you're writing the book and who the book is for. So really understand, am I writing this book because it's my therapy, I got to get it out? Or is this for my business? Is this going to help my business grow? You've got to get clear on that. And then the second part of that is that who's the book for? So if you're writing it for business, really clear on who your target market is, who you're writing this to, okay? The next thing is that do not start writing. Do not write one page until you have written some kind of an outline, okay? For those of you that have not, that aren't, let's say, planners, just kind of go off the cuff, then you might not like this, but you're going to need to do this. You at least need to have some kind of a skeleton around what is your book going to be about, what are the different topics that you've got in there. Okay, so you need to decide, how do you want to bring this thing to market? Do you want to self-publish it? Do you want to get a publisher? Do you want to work with a publisher? Now, for my book, I went with a publisher. What you need to understand about publishing companies is that forget about what you've learned from the movies, okay? Most publishers these days are in a format of essentially a pay-to-play. They've flipped the model. You probably grew up understanding publishers where they paid for everything up front, handled your whole book and marketing and distribution and everything, and then what would happen is that they would take a big percentage of the sales of the book on the back end. Publishers gotten smart. They've flipped it. What happens now is that if you want to work with them, you need to pay them up front the cost of getting the book essentially made, edited, formatted, the marketing, the distribution. You pay for all that up front, but then the company takes a very small percentage on the back end of the sale of the books. So you have to have the money to be able to invest in that. That's the route that I took. Now, there are a select few people that can actually glue or sell to a publisher and have them do all this stuff for them, so you don't have that cost at the beginning. And if you can do that, that's great. The majority of people, though, if you're going to work with a publisher, you're going to have to pay for them. Now, the other way to go is you can go directly with an Amazon, where you can essentially self-publish it, have them do it. You might need a little bit of help with some stuff, but you can take care of most of the writing of the book and most of the editing of the book yourself. That's the cheapest. The next thing you need to understand with your book is that if you're using your book as a marketing tool, like as a way to sell your other services, which is a great thing to do, you have to understand that most people won't read your book. Your book essentially becomes it's like a brochure. It's like some information. Yes, there's people that will read it, but don't go in expecting that everyone's going to read. Your book's not a Harry Potter book. People aren't going to be like gobbling it up and reading it. It will sit on most people's bookshelves, never be opened, okay? But it's a great marketing tool. It's a great way to increase your credibility, your visibility, and a great springboard into other businesses and other areas of work that maybe you weren't doing before. Or you'll sort of just level up to that next level of work that you were trying to get. All of those things are possible when you write a book. The other thing that you really need to understand with this is that it's a long road in terms of writing a book and get it published, getting it out there. This isn't something that happens in 6 months or 3 months. You're probably looking at a 12-month road from the time that you're starting. What's the concept that you want to write about? What's the target market? Getting your topics in there, doing your research, compiling all that stuff, doing your marketing and everything, to the final time, getting through the editing and the printing, it's going to be a year. So that's a long road and a lot of stuff that can go sideways. So my biggest recommendation is that you cannot do this alone. Do not think that you can do this alone. I struggled for 2 years. When I had the idea, I knew that it was going to be combining, let's say, my leadership skills with the motorcycle metaphor. I knew that, but I still stumbled along the way. It wasn't until I finally reached out to get some help that really I was able to move things forward. So I'm going to say this actually right now, is that if you are in that place where you're an aspiring author and you want to get to that next level, then I'm someone that can help. What I can do for you is I'm going to help you really connect with your authentic voice, your authentic authoring voice, in terms of what's really important to you, and help you move through that process. Okay, wow. I really hope some of that stuff worked out. Okay, here were really sort of the points that I wanted to talk to you about. If you're trying to be an aspiring author, I think the first one that I said was that you need to really be clear on who's your target audience and why you're writing this book. And really, if you're listening to this, and really what I'm going to say for the rest, what I've said for the whole video is that this applies if you're using this as a business tool. This is a way for you to get more business to help sell your services. Okay, that's really what the objective is for this one. So get clarity on why you're writing the book and who you're writing it for, what's your target audience. The next one is around just writing. Don't write to a blank page. Make sure you do an outline. Make sure you really sort of understand what are, let's say, those topics and subjects that you're going to talk about within your book, and write that outline so that when you first start writing, or if you're typing, that you're not writing to a blank page, that you're writing to, what the topic is that you're going to be writing about on that particular day. The other way is that decide on how you want to bring this to market. How do you want to actually have it created? Do you want to self-publish, or do you want to work with a publisher? What you need to understand with publishing is that they flip the model. It's really a pay-to-play for many publishers, which is you pay up front for their services as a publishing company, and then on the back end you get the majority of the sales from the books. Something I didn't mention is that no one really gets rich, no one really makes money from actual selling the book. Where you make your money is from your products or services that you are selling through the platform of your book. So really that's really clear. So, and kind of a follow-up to that is that not only will you not make money from book sales, but you also most people won't read your book. Like 90% of the people that will have your book probably won't actually read it. Don't take that personally. That's just the way it is. You're going to be using your book as a marketing piece. You're going to be sending it out to people. Yes, there'll be people that will, let's say, buy it outright, and there will be those few that are going to read it, and that's great. And that's great to get feedback from them. But the majority, if you've got 1,000 books that are out there, probably only 100 people will read that book. The other 900 are going to sit in someone's shelf or in their drawer. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that you cannot do this alone. This is a long process. It probably takes between probably close to 12 months. It's not just a 3-month project or a 6-month project. There's a lot of ways for you to dip and kind of fall off. I know for myself, 3 years to actually kind of write that book, because I stumbled for a good 2 years. It wasn't until I got some help. So make sure you get the help you need for this. I think those are the topics. That's it.